Imagine a machine so essential that without it, civilization as we know it would simply stop. It doesn't make anything. It doesn't move anything. It just sits there, humming quietly. But it is the single most critical piece of hardware in the entire electrical grid. We're talking about the power transformer, and right now, the world is running out of them. This isn't about a temporary supply chain hiccup. This is a structural shortage, decades in the making, that could leave cities dark and industries paralyzed. The transformer is the silent, unglamorous heart of our electrified world, and its pulse is getting dangerously weak. This is the Energy Historian, uncovering the hidden systems that power civilization. We're told the energy transition is about solar panels, wind turbines, and electric cars. But that's a surface-level story. The real bottleneck, the true leverage point, isn't generation, it's transmission. And at the absolute core of transmission sits a piece of 19th century technology we've almost forgotten how to build at scale. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to a time when these machines were a growth industry and trace the decisions that led us to the brink. In the post-World War II boom, America's electrical grid was expanding at a breakneck pace. The 1950s through the 1970s were the golden age of transformer manufacturing. Companies like GE, Westinghouse, and McGraw-Edison had massive domestic factories. They employed tens of thousands of skilled workers, welders, coil winders, iron workers, who built these bespoke, multi-ton giants. A large power transformer wasn't a commodity you ordered from a catalog. It was a custom-engineered project, taking up to 18 months to build. Each one was designed for a specific location in the grid, a specific voltage, a specific load. The industry logic was simple. Build a robust, domestic manufacturing base to support a grid that was growing every single year. It was a national strategic asset, treated with the same seriousness as building warships or locomotives. But here's the catch. A power transformer is built to last. We're talking 40, 50, even 60 years of continuous service. By the 1980s and 1990s, the great grid build-out was largely complete. The demand for brand new transformers plummeted. The business shifted from growth to replacement. And for corporate America, that was a problem. Wall Street wanted growth, not maintenance. Running massive factories for sporadic custom orders was terrible for quarterly earnings. So, the consolidation began. Factories closed. Expertise retired. The manufacturing base withered. What was once a strategic industrial capability was quietly outsourced and downsized, seen as a cost center in a globalizing world. The hidden mechanism here is what engineers call asset life cycles, and economists call demand lumpiness. Transformers have incredibly long lives, but when they finally fail or become obsolete, they need to be replaced all at once. You don't need a trickle of transformers every year, you need a flood of them every few decades. Maintaining the industrial capacity to produce that flood, the specialized steel foundries, the winding machines, the testing bays, the skilled labor, is brutally expensive during the quiet years. So, the market rationalized it away. By the early 2000s, the US was left with only a handful of domestic producers for the largest, most critical transformers. The just-in-time global supply chain would provide the rest. Now here's where it gets interesting. A modern large power transformer is a monster of complexity. It's not just copper and steel. The core is made from specialized electrical steel called grain-oriented steel, which is produced by only a few mills worldwide, primarily in Japan and Germany. The insulation system uses advanced polymers and paper. The cooling system is a sealed network of pipes and oil. And it all must be assembled in a near-sterile environment to prevent contaminants that could cause a catastrophic failure. Building one is part heavy industry, part precision watchmaking. You can't just spin up a new factory overnight. It takes years and hundreds of millions in capital investment. The bottleneck isn't just assembly, it's the entire deep-tier supply chain that feeds it. Let's look at the ripple effects. In 2011, a massive solar storm, known as the Carrington event, nearly missed Earth. Scientists later modeled that if it had hit, it could have induced currents strong enough to fry hundreds of large transformers across North America. The replacement time, estimates ranged from 4 to 10 years, because we simply couldn't build them faster. That was a warning shot from nature. Then came the human-made shocks. In 2012, a fire at a single-component factory in Belgium crippled global transformer production for months. In 2022, the war in Ukraine targeted electrical infrastructure, creating a desperate European scramble for transformers, further straining global supply. Each crisis revealed the same brittle truth. We had traded resilience for efficiency. Fast forward to today. The average age of the US transformer fleet is now over 40 years. They are entering their failure window en masse. At the same time, the energy transition is demanding a massive grid overhaul. Renewable energy farms are often built far from cities, requiring new high-voltage lines and the transformers to step that power up for transmission and back down for distribution. Electric vehicle charging stations place huge, concentrated new loads on neighborhood grids, blowing out old transformers not designed for that demand. The need has exploded just as the capacity to meet it has evaporated. Lead times for a new large power transformer have stretched from 12 months to over 3 years. Prices have tripled. So who controls the choke points? The global market is now dominated by a few giants: Hitachi Energy in Sweden and Switzerland, Siemens Energy in Germany, and Hyundai Electric in South Korea. China has built its own massive domestic capacity, but its transformers are often not compliant with Western grid standards and are viewed with geopolitical suspicion. America finds itself in a perilous position, dependent on a long, fragile global supply chain for the most critical component of its national infrastructure, while facing a replacement tidal wave. The Department of Energy has now labeled large power transformers as critical to national security. But labeling a problem doesn't solve it. Building the factories and reskilling the workforce will take a decade we may not have. The real question isn't just about transformers. It's about the myth of dematerialization. We imagined the digital age meant we could let our physical industrial base decay. The knowledge economy would see us through. But the transformer shortage screams the opposite truth. Bits are built on atoms. The cloud runs on electricity, and electricity flows through steel, copper, and oil-filled tanks that we forgot how to make. When politicians talk about grid modernization or energy independence, they're really talking about rebuilding the industrial commons we dismantled. It's not a software update. It's a foundry, a weld shop, and a generation of lost knowledge that needs resurrecting. One transformer fails on a hot summer night. The utility can't get a replacement for 2 years, so they patch it, run it beyond its rating, and pray. That's the reality playing out in utility boardrooms across the country right now. We optimized the global system for cost and leanness, but we removed all the slack, all the redundancy, from the very foundation of modern life. The transformer is more than a machine. It's a symbol. It's the final physical link between the abstract world of electrons and the tangible reality of light, heat, and power in your home. And we are discovering, too late, that some efficiencies are catastrophically expensive. If this gave you a new perspective on the fragile bones of our civilization, hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Let me know in the comments, what other hidden piece of infrastructure keeps you up at night? Next time, we'll explore the subterranean world of high-pressure gas pipelines and why a single valve could hold a continent hostage.